This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good day from Rome. We are at the Vatican where just moments from now the process of electing a new pope to lead the Catholic Church and its 1 billion members around the world will begin. Right now, 133 cardinal electors are gathered in the Sistine Chapel, taking an oath of secrecy. When this ceremony is done, the doors of the Sistine Chapel will be closed, kicking off what could be a multi-day voting process to select the next pontiff. Our only signal about their progress will be the appearance of smoke from a chimney atop the Sistine Chapel. Black smoke means no pope elected yet, and voting will continue. White smoke means, as they say, we have a pope. And we'll learn his identity for the first time as he is announced ahead of his appearance on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica behind me. Joining us now for all of it, NBC News correspondent Anne Thompson and our senior Vatican analyst George Weigel. Anne, why don't you start us off? Tell us what we're looking at right now.
We have seen the Cardinals process into the Sistine Chapel. They will take the oath of secrecy, and then they will order everyone out, and they'll close and lock the doors of the Sistine Chapel. And then the papal preacher, Cardinal Cantalamessa, will give a meditation. It's expected to be 5 to 10 minutes long. Then he will lead, and the voting will begin. Now, there aren't speeches that are given in the Sistine Chapel. It's not a smoke-filled room. Don't think of it as Congress. But it is a very prayerful, spiritual moment. And they handwrite the ballots on paper. Each cardinal folds his ballot in half, takes it up to the front of the Sistine Chapel, swears an oath, and then puts it in an urn. And then the counting begins. And
the focus on security and secrecy here, it's not just part of the ancient rituals, it's also an acknowledgement of electronic eavesdropping potential in these sorts of things.
The conclave process began over 900 years ago, precisely to keep barons, dukes, kings, whatever, from interfering with a crucial internal decision for the life of the church. In those days, in medieval Europe, everybody was trying to get their hand into the pie of running the church. So it was decided, no, we're going to do this locked up in this conclave with a key. And I think in the main, it served the church very well for 900 years. Now you have got, as you said, Lester, other kinds of security problems. 20 years ago, a false floor was built in the Sistine Chapel, and all sorts of electronic jamming equipment was put underneath that to prevent snooping. Today, the Sistine Chapel is surrounded by electronic jamming equipment. The windows have been sealed. No one is allowed to bring anything in, computer, cell phone, whatever. And that is, again, to ensure that the process respects its own integrity, if you will.
And some of the secrecy also prevents us from understanding how the general process works. And you talked about there's no speeches and that sort of thing, but how are people moved off of a position? You know, if you're locked onto a certain candidate, if I can use the term, what moves you off if there's no room for discussion or debate? Or
the discussions happen over meals. That's why it's very important that they all eat together. And even though they're in two different hotels, sequestered in two different hotels, the cardinal electors, because there are so many of them, those meals are a crucial time. That's where candidates and issues are discussed. And then they go back into the Sistine Chapel and resume voting. So it's when they're not in the chapel, that's where the politicking happens.
George, I think there will be some people who will be tuning in and out of this coverage over the next few days as we await the election of a new pope. Can we talk about the timing, what potentially it could look like based on history and what we know they have to accomplish in here?
What we know with almost virtual certainty, Lester, is that it will be black smoke tonight. I mean, the idea of a pope being elected on one ballot is really fantasy land, in part because there will be complementary votes cast tonight. You know, someone who has suffered greatly for the church and you want to honor them with a vote. The really serious measurement of strength of candidacy will come tomorrow morning. And then I think the dynamic that seems to be permanent in these things is if your vote total continues to grow, you can continue to remain alive as a candidate. If it plummets, if you hit a ceiling, then it's kind of hard to come back. In this case, with this very diverse electorate that does not know each other as well as previous electorates did, I think the opportunity for what you might call a consensus compromise candidate, rather than a front runner who gradually builds the vote up over a couple of days, is higher than it has been before. So it's a wide open process right now. There are a lot of moving parts in this. Those conversations that Anne mentioned at meals, but also just, walking around the area near the Vatican guest house in the evening. This is all part of, if I could use a 10-cent word from theology, a discernment process. We're trying to discern what God is asking of the church.
Okay, what's happening here now?
Veritatis et pacis. Ut que tibi placita sunt, toto corde cognoscant.
Obviously, everything in Latin.
This is Cardinal Pietro Parolin. He was the Secretary of State under Pope Francis. He is the senior member by rank of the College of Cardinals. So he is actually going to run this process inside the Sistine Chapel, and he has been widely mentioned as a candidate himself. That was an opening prayer, and now the swearing of the oath of confidentiality will begin.
And as we watch that, we're joined by author Robert Harris, who wrote the novel Conclave, which became an Oscar-winning movie. Mr. Harris, thank you for joining me. I have to think you're seeing this through different eyes than many of us, given your experience on the book and ultimately the film. What are your thoughts as you watch this?
Well, there's a slight sense of deja vu, and I tried hard to imagine what it was like when the door closed on the Sistine Chapel and the voting began. And it's rather awesome to see all the cardinals going in and this ancient ritual and this incredible setting. It is, I'm afraid, for a secular man like myself, the ultimate election is how I can't help but see it as that, steeped in history, for an enormously responsible job, 1.4 billion Catholics, and there is politics in it, and that's what attracted me to writing the novel.
In fact, you capture the sense that ultimately, at the end of the day, these are men and they have their jealousies and they have their pet peeves. Was that what you had tried and hoped to capture?
Well, one of the cardinals observes, we serve an ideal, we can't always be ideal, and that sort of summed it up for me. Obviously, there has been quite a bit of scandal attached to senior members of the church, cardinals, in terms of sexual abuse, turning a blind eye to it, or financial irregularities. And it is, as one of your speakers was saying, quite a political process. The first ballot today, there may be 30 names will get a vote. It's tomorrow, the wood is cleared and the serious business begins, and you have to gain what would be called in a secular election momentum. That's the most vital thing. And if your vote stalls or you don't do as well as you had hoped, then your supporters, be they traditionalists or more liberals, they will look for a candidate who might attract more votes. And that's what happened famously in the election of Cardinal Ratzinger.
Are you comfortable with your book and this film really serving as a primer for people who come in with perhaps no understanding of this process?
To be honest, Lester, yes, I am. I feel like one of those songwriters who writes a Christmas #1 that is trotted out again and again. I look forward to the next conclave when maybe if I'm still with us, I'll be back again. I mean, I tried to make the book accurate. I know some people didn't agree with it or were offended by it, but most have conceded that the actual procedural detail is correct, and that was also retained in the film, I think.
Robert Harris, we appreciate you joining us here as we watch this play out in real life.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.